It's Rich, Tennessee Homestead. How the heck are you today? Well, I'll tell you, this is going to be the last of these ones. I finally got all my information gathered up, what other folks were telling me. Because this is kind of out of my pay grade, this last part, because you're primarily dealing with what Uncle Sam is saying about this whole situation behind closed doors and what they've been looking at over the years. I know I'd mentioned in that one video about fourth generation warfare. Well, that turns out to be about as antiquated as a Model A. Yeah. Now they're into the ultra stuff. Literally, that's what they call it. Yeah. And here's basically the posturing that they're looking at. We and most militaries, most organized militaries, do not do well with insurgencies. It's very hard because here again, you're in a combat scenario. You have people who want to kill you, but yet you've got to be really kind of careful of who you're shooting at, because one, they're usually in civilian attire, and it seems like you shoot through an innocent person. Now you've got 4 or 5 new insurgents who step up and join the cause to back up for the person getting shot. Kind of like police work in a way, you know. Military faces the same thing, only except for on a larger scale. Now, when you look at that, usually your special forces and special operations troops handle a lot of that kind of warfare. Because they're trained in the psychological end of it and to assess targets well. Okay. Now, but at the same time, you can't devote all your military assets and so forth and attention to dealing with insurgent warfare. Because what if you have a country like China suddenly land on you? Yeah, you better have a large and well-trained and well-equipped conventional forces. Okay, so there's where they're making their transition. I did catch a heads up, none of it's classified or anything like that, but that the military is definitely bolstering their special operations and special forces people. So they've got more people trained for this kind of insurgency kind of warfare. Okay, so you know the government, they've got plans for everything. If you can dream it up, they've already planned on it, okay? That's just the way the government works. Then the politicians get involved and, see what they can use for their best interest. All right, one of the problems that here again is still out there is when we're talking about an internal situation, how rapidly they can get these special forces, because special forces are a little different group and mindset than conventional forces. You might get guys from conventional forces to go and just follow orders, okay? Special operations personnel have been trained to function without that direct command control. They have to. A lot of times they're dealing with situations and they no longer have that direct line of communication. So that's the way they're trained, which causes them to think a little more before they take an action. Yeah. So those guys that they're trying to add for insurgency also adds to the problem of whether or not these guys would follow orders when it came to U.S. civilians. He said, get this from like 4 different people, and they were saying, the government's not sure. They're just not sure of the loyalty of the U.S. troops if it came down to a conflict here in this country, and they are looking for a conflict here in this country. They know it's coming. They know it's coming. Talking with other groups that I've been affiliated with firsthand, they are preparing. And I mean, they are preparing. It has gone from training, trying to get as many people trained up that didn't have a lot of military experience, things of this nature, to actually visiting towns, showing them how to deploy their defenses, things of this nature. They are getting into advanced level training at this point. Fearing that if this keeps going, there's going to be a problem. Okay. And I don't know. I don't know how the folks in the city, which are primarily in blue areas, plan to maintain their Second Amendment rights and continue to bring in the same politicians they have in the past. You know what I'm saying? The federal government at the federal level, they are looking at the options of a balkanized United States. What would it be like? How would it be managed? It could be managed. And things of this nature. Okay? Yeah. It's not a done deal that the federal government's going to land. If a civil war breaks loose, it's not really too certain if the federal government is going to take the stance of protect our assets and let them have at each other, and let's see what, after the dust settles, what we have. Which is a big one that they're thinking, folks. Yeah. To where the American people may be on their own for a while out here with it. They maintain their military installations and things of this nature and defend them against attacks, but pretty much let the American people have at each other. Well, does that fit in with the overall plans and schemes and things of this nature? One of the things you need to look at is the elitists that are running this country, literally. And anybody that doesn't realize this at this stage of the game, that people like the Rockefellers, the Gates, even Ted Turner and people like that, these big money outfits, these banks, Federal Reserve owners, notice I said owners because the Federal Reserve is a private bank, okay? Keep that in mind. A lot of people go, oh no, they're part of the Fed. No, they're not. Your federal government has no control over the Federal Reserve. Right down to, if it comes down to picking the head of the Federal Reserve, they're given a list of names. Pick one. Don't deviate from the list. So, we don't control the Federal Reserve. Although they totally are in control of our economy, our cash flows. Yeah, it's not good. Okay? If you haven't been, a lot of people don't because it's pretty dry stuff, economics and all that. If to get started out, you need to figure out how this all took place. And one of the things you might want to pick up and read is The Creature from Jekyll Island. Okay? Very interesting book. Kind of talks about the formation and how the Federal Reserve came to power and came to be. And right now, it is a very powerful organization. Okay? When the Federal Reserve tells your government to jump, they ask how high on the way up. Because they know these guys can crash this economy and make all them clowns lose their jobs just with the stroke of a pen. And there's nothing they can do to stop it. And on top of that, it is truly, if you read the U.S. Constitution, our Congress is supposed to be in charge of that, and we passed that off about the same time we kicked the states out of the Senate, too. Yeah, that's something. I wonder if there's a coincidence there. Yeah, under Mr. Woodrow Wilson's reigns, yeah, it was a mess. But anyway, so, yeah, if you don't know much about the Federal Reserve, you better get educated on it. All right? Better get educated on it. And when you learn how much control they've got, all right, it'll send you off screaming into the sunset. Now, the Federal Reserve, if you go out and read their websites, you would think that they are a division or a government agency. That's what they want you to think. Okay? I've always said the same thing. They're not part of the federal government. and there's definitely no reserves. Okay. Matter of fact, the only thing you'd find at Fort Knox is dust. Okay. Yeah. That has been used as an instrument to take the wealth of this country and run off into the sunset with it. It is amazing how broke we really are. So, yeah. So keep that kind of stuff in mind. Your federal government, they don't know for sure that they'd jump in the middle of a revolution until it comes to their door. When it starts barking at their back door, they might want to get involved because politicians are going to be panicked. Okay. The involvement of the military, anybody knows. Yeah, nobody really knows. The military doesn't even know. Guys didn't know, and the military doesn't know. They know there'd be a lot that would not cooperate, but they also say there's going to be a lot that would. So, here you go. But we're headed toward it quickly. Okay. That little video, matter of fact, it's sitting here. I'm trying to get it loaded now. The one video where that young lady was knelt down. If you will notice that when that postman came out, even though he was black, just because he was an official of some sort, you'll notice that girl stood right up and said, "I gotta go." She was gone. Okay. You can tell she was intimidated by what was going on. Then you also, I don't know if you paid attention to it, if you watch a businessman walk past and doesn't say a word. Down here, if I saw a woman kneeling on the ground, most of the people I know would stop and say, "Ma'am, are you all right? What's going on here?" And bring that thing to a close. Okay? Most of the time, why don't you just, you're not comfortable with this, man, why don't you just get up and go on about your business? And make sure that this clown would get dealt with. Dealt with how? Maybe stare him right in the eyes, put your hand on your gun and say, "How would you like to spend the rest of your afternoon on your knees? Think about it for a minute, son. Get on out of here. Don't let me see you do this again." That's humiliating. He scared the bejeebies out of that woman. You're not going to be intimidating people like that. That's where the line's going to get drawn on this. Back to the government's thinking, because that's what this video is about, and we don't want it to get too long. The government's thinking is that it's highly possible that if you get into a civil conflict, because of the nature of large cities, okay, they would probably become isolated. And at that point, they'd have problems. A lot of people would flee the cities. Lord, they're fleeing the cities now. Just the sort of little things they're looking at that goes, it wouldn't bode well for the cities. Because one, coming out of the cities is going to put them in situations and geographical areas, things of this nature, they are just not familiar with. So, how far this thing would spread, so forth, who knows? I think probably they'd try to kind of put a pretty good perimeter around the cities and say it's enough. And that may be how the military is used, is to just sanction off the cities and there you go. They're not sure what they're going to do. Now, if you look at the agendas that are all floating around out there, and a lot of these elites, like Bill Gates and Ted Turner and a bunch of these guys like this, they think the population really needs to be thinned. A lot. There's talk of 80% of the world population needs to disappear. We're using their resources. Their resources. Not ours. Theirs. We don't have any resources. We are nothing but a scourge upon the land kind of thing. Yeah. Kind of hope it does break loose, because it'd be kind of fun to see them boys put back in their place, because they'd be running for the borders. But yeah, that's where your government's at. They're not sure. They are just not sure. as long as they're not being attacked, they'll probably kind of try to stay out of it. So careful what you guys ask for. There's not going to be police departments there protecting us from the rest of the country should this break loose. Race war is stupid, for one. I mean, it truly is stupid. If you're a minority in this country and you use your head and get a decent education and get you a good degree, and doesn't have to be a 4-year degree, even just a good technical training, you're a hot ticket in the job market, man. You're a minority. You are what businesses want. Why aren't you doing well? There's the question. So if you're failing, you're gonna have to ask yourself why. Was it a self-inflicted wound? I'd like to see everybody do good. Okay? Do the best you can with your abilities. Education's going to be a part of it. Period. Going to be a part of it. There's no point in getting this nonsense riled up. Just getting people to kneel. You might get city dwellers to do that, okay? Because those city dwellers aren't real bright. Alright? And they're afraid. Okay? You get out in these moral rule sections, these little boys love a good fight. It's like, man, they've been doing that their whole lives. Okay? A lot of military out here. A lot of military. Yeah, see, we don't view it as a stupid thing to do, to go stand up for our country. And patriotic. A little bit of the more old-time American spirit. I strongly recommend you guys knock it off. Defunding police departments, really? Yeah? Think that's a good idea, huh? There won't be anything left in your cities. You do realize that, right? And you'll be afraid to open the door. Because you ain't gonna know what's on the other side of it. Are you guys nuts? You'd be talking about that? Democrats will tell you anything you want to hear. They need your vote. You know? You want to know what makes Democratic politicians wake up in cold sweats, even though Nancy Pelosi, with all her air conditioners and ice cream in the fridge, you mentioned that blacks not show up to vote for her. I want to wake up in the middle of the night, laying there in a pool of water. Scares them to death. Because they know that's their base. That's all they got. And so, you know, every time they get reelected, they kind of wipe the sweat off their brow and go, well, whew, those lies worked. Let me start working on my next group of lies for them. Because they ain't done crap to you folks. They really haven't. Yeah. At least, and I know, Donald Trump's a racist and a bigot and all those things. He at least, when he was getting his economy on its feet, was getting jobs for you. Your unemployment was at record lows for most people. You know, I don't care about the man's politics. He's not going to turn me into a racist, okay? Because anybody that says that they think Donald Trump sitting there running his mouth is going to take an intelligent individual and go, boy, if Donald says it must be true, let me become a racist, they're nuts. Okay? Now that's crazy talk. It's not going to happen. There's a lot of things about Donald Trump I do not personally like. I think they should have closed his Twitter account the day he took his oath. But he plays the media with it. And if you guys step back and smarten up a little bit, realize that man is the ultimate troll. He's good at it. And he just throws stuff out to the media just to watch them get hooked like trouts and flop around on the bank. He's good at it. I got to admire him for it. But will he turn people into racists, or all racists, the only people that voted for him? I know some really good people that voted for him. Don't have a racist bone in their body. Okay? Here's a secret. There's a lot of blacks that voted for him in the South, yeah. Because they're getting tired of the lies themselves. Don't kid yourselves. But if we start getting our heads together, and if we start trying to make this a country that works for everybody, Antifa, I don't know, there's not a lot we can do with them. Okay, you little communists that are running around with your head in the clouds, you're useful idiots. And if you didn't really study history and read China and Russia and stuff, well, they use their little useful idiots to start revolutions for that socialist utopia. Yeah, when they were done, they rounded them up, took them out in the woods, dig a big hole. They, of course, had to dig their own hole and killed them because they didn't need troublemakers. That's all you are. Little troublemakers. And let me tell you something. The very people that are stirring your happy butt up, okay? They're the elites. They're that 1% you complain about. They're the ones who are paying. They're the ones organizing, okay? It's not the poor working class. You're just being duped, all right? And if you ever get outside the cities and there's not that blue wall protecting you, yeah, it's going to get to be a different show. Truly it is. You better wake up. You might try to get this government back into the confines of the U.S. Constitution. We had a lot of freedom back then. We need it again. Okay? In America, we're going to end up having to do it. So otherwise, this country's going to fall apart. So, there's your government stance pretty much. They'll probably sit back and let us kill each other off. Population control, global warming and all that. Too many bodies were heating up the air too much. Hey, if you notice, the northern polar ice has continued to grow since 2012. Poor polar bears. Well, they're standing on ice, can't hardly get to the water. As soon as y'all figure out you're being lied to a lot, we might start going, wait a minute, let's talk some sense. As far as I want to go with this one, because like this thing here is taking forever to load because it's long. But yeah, what the government's response is going to be, they've got plans. And it could lead to a very interesting situation. But I'd recommend if you guys want to start a revolution in the country, you better do it in the cities, because you get out in the rural areas, you're going to find it just not well met out here. And I'd hate to see y'all end up in a lot of trouble. Okay, and no, we're not going to defund our police. Now, you want to talk to me about demilitarizing the police? I'm with you on that one. You want to talk to me about maybe giving police more training to alleviate and even psychiatric evaluations to kind of weed out any racists, black or white, or pink or blue? I'm with you. Anything we can do to make the police better? I'm with you. Get rid of the police? Are you crazy? You got idiots like you guys out there. No. I don't have to be out there shooting you. I don't want that. Well, it's crazy. I got to clean my weapons, and it's just too much work. Y'all have a great day. Know that the government's watching and that they do have plans, but the plan may be let them have at each other. Kind of crazy, but that's about how it works out. Because they're afraid to step up too hard because they know that the next battle is going to be with them, depending on who wins. Keep that in mind, and they're looking at it. And odds are, we can take that government back. Let's get busy. Getting that 17th Amendment done away with, that's the first thing we need to do. That'd give us more power over the federal government. You can shake a stick at. Because let me tell you something, politicians, okay, if you're talking about bribing the Senate, you're talking about having to bribe a lot of people. You're talking about every state's legislator, every governor, you're going to spread some serious money around. They ain't going to do that. That's the reason they changed it in the first place. Centralize a smaller pool of people, just gives them 100 people to pay off. No. Let's break this Washington monopoly up a little bit and get them back into the confines of the U.S. Constitution. And then we get our state legislatures telling them you start leaning on the Senate. We want these guys reviewing these laws. And instead of writing new ones, let's unwrite a bunch of laws, get this stuff off the books. That's how we get our country back. Okay. Provide some education, training for people that don't have jobs, put them to work. Here you go. You have a trade. Go apply it. We'll stop the nonsense. Y'all have a good day. We'll talk at you later, and keep smiling. And you folks in the city, be careful. And keep your eyes open. And for God's sakes, don't kneel to anybody. Because let me tell you something. Most of your humanity is not going to get back up off those knees. Because you're going to be ashamed of what you just did. Be proud. You're an American. Doesn't matter the color of your skin, where you were born, what your religion is. You're an American. Y'all have a great day. Talk to you later.